Okay, so we did percents to decimals, percents to fractions. Now we're going to go the other way. We're going to turn decimals into percents. So there are two methods to do this. Pretty sure you guys are going to pick method 2 at the end, but we're going to go over both of them like we always do. So we're going to do method 1 first. There's a few more steps in method 1. Promise we'll get through them. They're not too crazy, so like I said, we're going to do both, and at the end you can pick whichever one works best for you to do the practice problem, okay? So we are going to be turning 0.33, we're going to write 0.33 as a percent, okay? So it doesn't say it on my board right here, but method 1 is we're going to rewrite it as a fraction first, okay? So we're taking 333, and we're writing it as a fraction. So we've done this before. We've turned decimals into fractions. So remember, you always look at where the last number falls for your denominator. So we have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So because our final digit falls in the thousandths place, take a guess at what's going to be in our denominator. It's in our thousandths place. So if you guessed 1,000, you are correct. All right? And then we're taking all our digits after our decimal. So we should have 333 over 1,000. Now remember, when we deal with percents, we deal with it over 100. So what do we need to do to 1,000? Multiply, divide, add, subtract. How do we get 1,000 to go to 100? Okay, so think about it for a sec. All right, if you said we're going to divide it, you are correct. So 1,000 divided by what number gives you 10? So what you should get is 10. Okay, so 1,000 divided by 10 gives you 100. So we already know that this is going to equal 100 because we know that 1,000 divided by 10 is 100. Now we have 333 divided by 10. We're going to use the same rule that we just did when turning, when we're using decimals. So there's that invisible decimal. We only have 1 0, so we're going to move it over once to the left. So this becomes 33.3. Now remember, percents are anything over 100. So our percent is 33.3%. Okay? So that's method 1, going from decimal to fraction, getting it into a percentage fraction, so where our denominator is 100. And then we get our percent. Method 2, few less steps. Okay, so whenever you are turning a number into a percent, okay, we always deal with 100. Remember how we talked about percentage is a ratio in comparison to 100? Same thing. So we can just take this number and divide it by 100. All right, and we already talked about the rules. When we divide by 100, we just move the decimal. I'm sorry, in this case, we're doing the opposite. We are multiplying by 100, okay? So when you're going from a decimal to a percent, you always multiply by 100. The same rule applies where you move the decimal twice. However, because we're multiplying, we're making this larger, we're going to move the decimal to the right so that we get a larger number, not just a small decimal. So again, same rules. We are moving it over 2 places. So we take this decimal, we move it once and twice, and we should be left with the same thing that we got over here. We should be left with 33.3%. And that's it. Okay? So you can use either one of these methods. They both should come out to the same answers like they did here. All right? So again, choose which method you would like to use for your practice problems. Pause the video. Take your time to do it. Remember, don't cheat yourselves, guys. Don't just watch a video, write down what I write down. Use this time to practice so you don't get behind as we move through the book, okay? So again, pause the video, and then we'll come back to practicing these problems. All right, so hopefully you paused the video and did your work. So let's check our work. I'm sorry it's a little slanted on here, but we'll work with it. Okay. So 0.4, I'm gonna do method 2 in order to show this, okay? If it's method 1 on one of our chats, whether you message me or you do Zoom with me, and I'll explain what that is, and you wanted to do method 1, we can go over that. That's totally fine. But for right now, I'm gonna do method 2. So we have 0.4. Again, we're moving the decimal to the right because we're multiplying by 100. We're moving it 2 places because of the 2 zeros in 100. So we go 1 around the 4, 2. So you should get 40%. All right, so 0.4, you should have gotten 40% on A. B, so doing the same thing, we're moving it over twice, 1, 2, so you should have gotten 2.3%. Okay? And finally C, again, we're moving it over twice, 1, 2, so you should have gotten 175%. All right, so again, if you struggled with this, go ahead and go back, rewind the video, maybe you missed something. Again, you can ask me questions, send me an email, post a comment on our Google Classroom, but yeah, so I'll see you in our example 4 video.